Hey friends, hope the morning's treating you well. 20 years ago today, Ray Davies got shot in New Orleans, and I'm going to tell you all about that. But first I gotta go get coffee. You go get coffee? Hey buddy. Good boy. Want to chase the ball? Want to chase the ball? 20 years ago today, Ray Davies was having dinner with his girlfriend in New Orleans, and I think it was in the French Quarter. And he walks outside the restaurant, they both do. A car pulls up, a guy jumps out of the car with a gun and says, "Give me your purse." And the woman immediately handed over the purse, and the guy started to get back in the car. Something kicked in Ray Davies, just a response to chase after the guy and try to get it back. And the guy turned around and shot him in the leg, point blank, just right there, and they drove off. Ray Davies is lucky to be alive after that. Ray Davies later said that when he was in the hospital, he's a little bit on morphine, had a broken femur, and he complained that the person that showed him his x-ray asked for an autograph at the same time, which is pretty unprofessional. The person who robbed him ended up getting away with it and never served any time. And the person in the getaway, I don't even think they were ever charged with anything. The person in the getaway car was charged. And when the court date came up, Ray Davies couldn't make it. He said he found out about it a day or two before and he was in London. So the people got off. He said that he felt sorry for the person and imagined the desperation in their life that would lead them to doing something like that. But the person that shot Ray Davies is still walking the streets as far as I know. But I stumbled upon a really interesting article while I was just trying to find out anything about Ray Davies being shot. And it was written by a guy named Michael Patrick Welch. And I will put a link to this down below in the top comment. It's really worth reading. It's fun, interesting stuff. But it's about the aftermath. After Ray Davies was recuperating there in New Orleans, I guess he was holed up in a house somewhere nearby. And Michael Patrick Welch said that there was a coffee shop that Ray Davies would come in whenever he was in New Orleans. And he was used to seeing him walk in, but nobody would bother him. People were really cool, didn't bother Ray Davies at all. And when he got shot, he said he had a mutual friend with Ray Davies that would go see him in this house. And the friend mentioned, yeah, Ray Davies is holed up in a house over here, and he's, while he's healing, he walks around all day in his boxers and reading books. And that's what he's doing. And Michael Patrick Welch had a book that he'd written. And he's like, "Man, why don't you give this to Ray Davies, just to tell him I'm a fan and blah, blah, blah." I guess he wrote something on the book. The guy gave it to him. And then after the fact, actually his friend said, like, "I've watched him reading your book. He's actually reading your book that you gave him." And which had to feel great. Had to really, really feel great that Ray Davies was, caring about it and reading it. After Ray Davies heals up, he comes into the coffee shop one day, and this guy walks over and he said, "Hey, I wrote such and such book, and I'm going to put a link to the book down below. I'm going to buy a copy just out of curiosity, and maybe you guys ought to also to support this guy." He's like, "Hey, I wrote this book," and Ray Davies was just like, "Really?" And he starts asking him about the book, and they sit down at a table. And Ray Davies is asking him questions about the book. And it just had to feel great. There's more to this story that keeps going on, and I'll let you read the article to get it. But I can just imagine somebody that you really loved and cared about their work, and you gave them something, and then they actually enjoyed it and wanted to know about your work. That had to feel great. I love the Kinks. I love Ray Davies. He is a great songwriter, and to be honest with you, I'm talking about this stuff just so I can have an excuse to talk about Ray Davies and the Kinks. I think they're absolutely great. We have any fans out there? You guys dig the Kinks? What's your favorite Kinks songs? I have little moments that I like to celebrate, little private moments that we all do, rituals. One of mine is anytime I'm in Victoria Station in London, which I've been in there quite a lot, I put in my earbuds and I listen to the Kinks, Victoria. Love the song. It's absolutely great. I love how they play on that. And when you hear, there's like ways that people would play that now, but so much of the era, you can tell these guys, grew up digging Chuck Berry and the blues guys and all of that. Just the way the guitar is playing, I love it. And then when Ray Davies has kind of got that mumbly thing sometimes, and it's great. I really love that. If I'm in, Waterloo Station in London, I have to listen to Waterloo Sunset. There's so many great, great Kinks songs. I have a playlist for road trips that I put together quite a while back that I think is a pretty good one. Maybe I should share some of these playlists publicly sometime. You probably have your own. But Ape Man's freaking great. And the groove in that is just so, so good. Are there other songs with the Ape Man groove that just whatever they're doing just completely works for me? I don't know, I love the Kinks. And they're heralded. People love the Kinks and they have a huge fan base and all of that, but I don't think they really get the credit that they deserve. Where there was the Beatles and the Stones going on at the same time and a lot of other great stuff. Dylan, but when you think of the British stuff though, Beatles and Stones, and then people like, oh yeah, and the Kinks, they'll get to that, but I don't know, man. I think they're like way up there. I would definitely put them, I don't know, maybe since the Stones kept doing it for so long and they're still out touring or whatever, but I really love the Kinks. There's a joke I have with Amy when she's really getting bummed out or stressed about something, or we're in a situation and she's kind of like a little antsy about it. I tell her, remember the lessons that Ray Davies taught us. And then we slowly together say, stop, relax, stay in control. If you know what I'm talking about, tell me down below. I think a lot of you do know what I'm talking about. But when I said Waterloo Sunset, there's a song I heard this year that I liked a lot that has the Waterloo Sunset melody, the verses. There's a song, and I'm not mad at him for it. There's like the moment when you first hear it and you're kind of like, that's familiar, what's that? And oh yeah, that's Waterloo Sunset. But there's a band called Wednesday, and they have a song called Quarry. It's really good. I like it, at least I like it a lot. And I think it was released this year. I was thinking about making a list of some of my favorite songs of the year that I heard. It's like people ask me a lot sometimes to like, will you write something for our magazine or blog, like you're the best of? And I always hate strong word. I always feel uncomfortable about best of lists because there's like 70,000 records released last year, maybe more than that. And I'm supposed to know what the best out of all of those. There's not enough time in the year to listen to all those records. So it ends up becoming a best of the things that publicists sent them or was a high profile release. But when you say best, well, that means it's better than somebody in Wichita who made a great record that they pressed 1,000 copies and were only able to sell 300 of them because they didn't have access to the machine. But it might be a better record than the stuff on their list. So best is rough, but I'd feel a lot better if people would just simply say my favorite records of the last year, or this publication's favorite. I'd feel a lot better about that. But I'm not qualified to give those lists, and I thought, well, maybe I'll name a few that I like just to turn people on to it. And I might end up not making that video, but one of the songs that I liked a lot was Quarry by Wednesday. It's got the Waterloo Sunset melody in the verses, and then the chorus is like a Kurt Cobain chorus that he didn't write. He would have been proud to write it. It's a nice and catchy and kind of heavy like that. I noticed a lot of the new music, a lot of it sounds like 90s alternative rock. You can tell the kids are really into that these days, but go look up that song. I think you'll enjoy it. I'll put it down below. There was a few others. I might talk about a few songs that I liked that, I'm just not the person to do that because I'm exposed to a certain amount of stuff, and I can tell you I like this or that, but I can't tell you this was better than anything else because it's subjective. It's art. What's that even mean? But you should look that one up and check that out. And also, someone's walking up on me. I'm going to get caught talking into a camera. Hello. Good, how you doing? I'll tell you what, man. I enjoy doing this, but I hate getting caught doing this. Usually do this where I think nobody's going to be around so I can just talk freely and get lost in it like I'm talking to a friend, which that's how I feel about it. But as soon as somebody walks up, you realize, oh man, you're the jackass in the middle of the woods talking into a camera. I can imagine what that looks like from outside. What are you going to do, though? I'm out here. It's very, very cold. I'm just trying to get outside more often. Throughout the summer, it's easier to go outside, but in the winter, I've noticed it in Amy over the years. Like sometimes when she hasn't been out in nature in a little while, if she's having a bad day or whatever, if we just go out and like stand around in the woods or walk along a lake, just somewhere, go to a park, just throw some rocks, spit off of bridges, like she's just way more happy. And I think we're all like that. Some people it's a little more obvious with, but so I'm coming out here and just kind of enjoying myself, and maybe I'll change the view just a little bit here. So I talked about this a couple years ago, and a lot of people in the comments were really, they were surprised and had never heard of it. I assume that everybody has heard everything that I've heard before, but there's a thing, seasonal affective disorder, where if you're the kind of person, if you're in the winter, like once January and February start rolling around, you've probably been inside, the days have gotten short, there's not a lot of light. It's been overcast for days, although I like overcast days. I especially like it for filming stuff outside. I always liked it, photography back in the day. But when you're not getting that much light, it really does affect you and gives you the blahs. So it's nice to just, even if you can't go outside, sit next to a window for an hour and get that light. There's doctors that will prescribe people to sit next to some kind of a light box just so they get that light because it affects you. You can, seasonal affective disorder, I forget what the hell it's called, but it's a for real thing. So I just try to remind myself to go out, and sometimes filming this stuff is a good chance to just go outside. And I don't know, man, you can't ever escape the sound of cars anywhere. You can be in the middle of a forest somewhere and you're going to hear clanging and people and all that, but at least you got the light, and you got the lake, the grass underneath your boots and all that. So that's a public service announcement in case you're feeling the blahs. I really hope you're not feeling the blahs, but it happens to all of us. And also, this is a weird one. This is a really weird one, but today just happens to be it's a weird anniversary. I didn't know this, but I was looking through some stuff this morning, and I noticed I bought this coat 14 years ago today. It's 14 years old. This is the only brand new coat I've ever bought in my entire life. And my life has spanned a little bit at this point. I've had it for 14 years, and I just remember I was in Nashville, and it gets cold in the winter in Nashville, but it wouldn't get like really like Indiana cold. But I just was like, man, my coat was all frayed and ripped because it was the one that I always wore when I planted trees in the winter. It was a work coat, and I always wore that, and I just thought, man, I ought to buy me a coat. And I went and I bought this thing, and it's been a good coat, but it's kind of weird because I felt guilty. I mean, I felt really, really guilty. I had buyer's remorse for buying. I think I $80 or $90 for a coat. 14 years ago, that seemed like a lot of money to me. I felt bad about buying it. So I would always just go to a thrift store. I'd buy stuff from thrift stores. I have really, really good luck of stuff that I've bought from thrift stores and had for a while, and maybe I'll talk about that sometime in the future. But I've had this for 14 years, and I don't really need a new one. I should say I've bought blue jean jackets, a couple of them over the years, like Levi's jackets or something like that are light jackets, and so I don't think of that as a coat. This is like the only winter coat I had. I used to go ice fishing, and I loved ice fishing, and I had like the big coveralls, but I would always layer up with and have like this big wool sweater that I bought at a thrift store, which was a great sweater, ugly as hell, but that was my really thick, heavy wool sweater that I bought for $2 at a thrift store. It would be I still have it. That would be my over thing I'd wear over everything else, just a bunch of layers. But anyway, don't know why I brought that up. Just figure we talk about things, I can talk about that. But I have, if you haven't seen the John Prine stuff is Dave Jakes, his interview with Dave Jakes. He was John Prine's bass player for 25 years, rode in a car with him all over America, which you can imagine, 25 years of riding in a car with John Prine, the stories you might have. I published that earlier this week, and man, watch it. It's like 52 minutes long, but it's really, really good. I think it's one of the high water marks of this channel, and I think you guys will enjoy it. If you haven't clicked on it and watched it, take the time and watch that and spread it around. You know, if you watch those things all the way through, YouTube will suggest it to more people. That's one of the big things, is like if people watch things all the way through, they think people enjoyed it, you know, and then they'll suggest it and keep suggesting it. So you know, watching stuff like that all the way through helps a whole lot. If you don't want to, that's fine. It's no big deal. If you're not into it, that's fine. But if you want to help spread the thing, and then sometimes, I never thought about even saying this, but what the hell, if you share something, like one of my videos on social media, anybody's videos, if you find a video you really love and you want your friends to see it, if you just share it with them, they won't show it to hardly anybody, because each platform wants to keep people on their platform. They don't want you to go to some outside thing. So what you should do, if you want people to see it, is post about it and then put it in the comments. Say the link is in the comments. When you see people doing that, that's why they do that, is more people will see it that way. They'll show it to people because there's not an outside link in the post. Sometimes if you just like make a screenshot or something of whatever the thumbnail is for the video or whatever, and post that, write something about it, turn your friends on. Because I know a lot of people share their friends' stuff. videos that they see that they really dig, which is cool. That's how people get turned on to it. But, you know, all the social media platforms don't want people to leave their platform to go to some other one. So if you put a link to another platform, they completely kill the reach of your post. Just saying that. I don't think a lot of people know that. I don't think a lot of like musicians, when they're posting links to their new thing they've recorded or whatever, the new video for their new song, I don't think they know that. So anyway, it's the things that you learn along the way, the hard way. But I hope things are good with y'all. I'm going to go find Wendell. Amy's walking around with Wendell out here playing around, and he's got his nice red jacket on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. But I post a lot of things on Patreon here recently. I've been posting a little bit more, and on channel memberships. If you ever want to see like some of the videos of the travels and things like that, you can go check that out. If you're not into it, that's cool too. But watch the Dave Jakes interview, John Prine. I'll put it up here, and I'll see you guys somewhere down the road. Much love to you.